Okay, so I haven't uploaded in over a month, which is really weird for me. And if you don't care about any of that, why, or just want to see the plant advice stuff, I'll put a timestamp in the description or something. But I want to take a quick moment to just talk a little bit about why I haven't been uploading, in case some of you care. So first of all, my last video was a serious one. It was something that's very personal to me, about gay rights and just a shitty situation in my home country, and I very much appreciate all the love and support I have gotten from that video. Thank you very much for watching it, commenting, supporting it, hearing about it. That being said, putting out that video was not the reason why I didn't upload after that. It's just because university started again and I started taking it a lot more serious than I was before, and it's just taken up so much of my time and energy. And I actually tried filming several videos in these last weeks, like over a month, and I filmed about like 4 or even 5 videos, I think, but none of them like sparked joy. I either started recording them and they just didn't feel like it, or I filmed them and then they just after the fact didn't seem like something worth even editing, much less uploading to YouTube. So I just scrapped it and didn't upload. And then finally I actually filmed a video that is, well, this video that I'm refilming because just I wanted to include this update and just change some things about the video. But I filmed this video and my laptop decided that it was just, done. And one of my laptop fans went crazy, so I had to send it away for repairs, so then I didn't have my laptop. So I couldn't edit videos. I don't know, it hasn't been a specific reason. I haven't done it intentionally, like I didn't intend to take a break or something like that, but it has been really weird for me not to upload because I'm pretty sure since I started my channel, I've been uploading really consistently, like every week, or if not every week, every 2 weeks. But I don't think I've ever gone this long without uploading before. But I have my laptop back, I have motivation back, I'm starting to juggle my time a little bit better and just figuring stuff out better with time management and stuff like that. But I still gain subscribers during this time, which I really appreciate. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Thank you. Consider subscribing if you aren't subscribed, and if you're still listening to this like right now and you haven't skipped to the actual like start of the video, wow, thank you. Yeah, I don't know, that was very rambly. I just wanted to explain myself a little bit, even though I know I don't have to explain myself, but there it is. I also was really hoping that a package would have arrived by today, which included those tiny hands that you put on your fingers, and I was gonna hold my tiny microphone with my tiny hands. So that's coming. You have that to look forward to. So subscribe to my channel, and in the next video, I promise, I will have tiny hands holding my tiny microphone. Things like that bring me such joy. So my channel is just going to get more ridiculous. Anyway, start of the video. So this video is about plant advice for new or slightly inexperienced plant parents, and this can be just like a good reminder for, if you've had plants for a long time and you have many plants. I think it's just a good reminder as well of some of these things when it comes to plant care. So these are just some of the things that I wish I knew earlier when I started collecting plants. It would have been very helpful to me. It's not any new groundbreaking information. It's just, some helpful things for new plant parents, and that's it. I've repeated myself like 10 times probably, so hopefully this helps some of you. These, by the way, are in no particular order of importance or anything like that. They're just some random things that I thought about, wrote down, and that's the order I'm gonna talk about them in. So first off on my list, I wrote down mix your own soil. Believe me, your plants will be so much happier if you do this. It is very rare that you will find a potting mix that already has the ideal mixture of different substrates that will be good for your plants. Now, I'm not saying that those universal potting mixes are bad or evil, and the different types and different brands will have different qualities of substrates. However, the majority of them have like 10% perlite, a little bit of those fertilizer balls, and then the rest of it is just, is it called dirt? I'm trying to think if it has another name, but you know, just dirt. And what this does, it can make the soil become super compact. It can make the soil have really bad drainage, so it gets waterlogged, and essentially it will lead to root rot. And actually, overwatering plants is much more common and easier than you might think than underwatering your plants, especially when you are just starting to take care of plants and trying to figure out their needs and such. And all of this helps with aeration of the roots, because guess what? Roots also need oxygen. And again, it can prevent overwatering, and there is no right or perfect mix for any plant. I also don't have a strict guideline of things that I put into my substrate mix, but these are some things to consider. I take some sort of universal potting mix, which is just basically your, you know, regular dirt that you buy in those giant bags. Then I add in a whole bunch of perlite. If you can add pumice. The only difference between these is that perlite tends to float to the top of the substrate more than pumice when you're watering your plants, so that's just something to consider, but still perlite is a really good resource. And then I also use orchid bark, so I try to find fine orchid bark and I mix that in there as well. Some other things occasionally I mix in is cocoa coir or sand. Very much depends on what I have available, what I have, what plant I'm planting. This is not a guide to exactly how to mix your soil. There are plenty of great YouTube videos out there about different substrate mixes and what you should put in and what it does and what plants like what. But mixing your own soil, even if it's just adding extra perlite, will do you good. So another thing is I mentioned about when you're mixing your substrate, it can help with overwatering. And watering is a really big thing with new plant parents because, you know, that's kind of how you keep your plants alive. The main thing that you do with your plants is you water them. A lot of people make the mistake when they're just getting into plants is having a set watering schedule. Now, watering your plant every single Tuesday is going to kill your plant. I'm sorry, but it is. Even if the little tag on the houseplant when you buy it says water it once a week, do not water it literally once a week, every week. And you need to adapt to each plant and its watering needs throughout the year and as it grows, because it will very much differ. The general rule is to check that the topsoil is dry before you water again. You can do this by, for example, sticking in your finger in the soil and just checking how moist it feels. And if it's moist, you probably don't want to water it yet. Most plants like to dry out before watering again, and also a lot of plants will show you signs that they need to be watered. For example, they will droop a little bit, or their leaves will curl, or something like that. And you will of course learn these signs a lot better as you have more experience. You don't just wake up with this knowledge, of course. And different plants will prefer different moisture levels. For example, calatheas will like to stay a bit more moist than other plants that like to, for example, completely dry out before you water them again. But a really good tool to help you gauge how moist the soil is getting a moisture meter, and they are really cheap off Amazon. A majority of people will tell you that this is a really great tool for knowing when to water your plants. Basically, it's let me see if I have it right here. It's one of these things, and you shove it into the soil, usually to the root level, and then it has this little meter up here which shows you whether it's dry or wet or something in between, and that can be a really good tool to know whether or not you need to water your plant again. This is good if you don't want to stick your fingers in the soil every day, or you, for example, also have a bigger pot, so you can't really dig your finger in there to see how moist the soil is further down in the pot. So you just stick that tool in there and you know. Another thing is knowing your environment before you buy plants. So this may seem a little obvious, but it's a much bigger problem than you might think. A lot of people see a nice houseplant and they just buy it without even knowing its name, and therefore not knowing at all what it needs. And yes, most houseplants will have those little tags again that tell you to water once a week, that it needs partial shade or something like that. But But there are a lot of plants and a lot of factors that you don't consider before buying these plants. For example, if your humidity is constantly 30% or below, you are not going to want to buy something like calathea, for example. Or if you have really bad lighting and your apartment is really dark, you are not going to want to buy something that will only thrive and really survive on a lot of bright light. Finding out what your plant is and evaluating what it needs before you buy it will save you a lot of money, hassle, and anxiety, because if you just buy a plant and bring it home without knowing what it needs and then you find out you can't provide this for them, they're going to die, and it's just gonna be a waste of time, energy, and yeah, just gonna bring you sadness. I've killed a couple of plants this way when I first started collecting plants because I just saw it in the supermarket and I thought, wow, this is a really cute plant I wanted, and I buy it and then I only Google it on the way home. So keep in mind the fact that you might not have the conditions for every plant, and find out the conditions that they need before you buy it. If you find out that they need conditions that you don't have, are you willing to provide those for them? For example, with a humidifier or with a grow light or something like that. So very much evaluate whether or not these plants will survive in your care. Similarly to this is not getting swept up with buying every plant under the sun. I know that when you're just discovering the world of houseplants, it is exciting. There are so many different cool, amazing plants that you can get your hands on, and you're going to want to buy them all. And you should get them all. Get all of them, but not all at once. If you buy too many different plants all in the same go at very short time intervals, you are not going to get the chance to actually learn about them, what they need, how they behave, and you will get overwhelmed. And if one of those plants starts not doing so well, you're not going to be able to tell why. Because your energy is focused on all of these new things, you're just not going to know. And that's not exactly your fault that you don't know. It's just that you just cannot notice these little things that impact your plants. So try your best to exercise restraint and be careful when buying large volumes of plants, especially when it's something that you have no experience with, that you don't really understand the care for yet. And I know it's kind of hard because you see, for example, a whole bunch of plants on sale and you're like, oh, this is such a great deal, I can get like 20 houseplants for $5 or something, and that is a great deal, yes, but if you consider the trauma you're gonna go through in losing some of those plants because you have no idea about their care, just try your best to not get swept up in this. Similarly, don't get swept up in the hype of quote-unquote rare houseplants or those super exotic ones, and do not buy hella expensive plants at the very beginning. Absolutely not. Okay, you might get lucky and you might do fine with these plants, but it is a very, very high risk. It's a huge investment, and if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to kill the plant and it's going to be a waste of money and time and energy, as what I said before, in knowing what plants need. Don't get swept up in the whole hype of buying houseplants and buying rare houseplants especially. Now talking a little bit about environmental things, get a humidifier. Just get one. I don't care what plant you have, how many plants you have, get a humidifier. Your plants will love it, especially if you live in an environment where your house or room or apartment, whatever, is at 30% humidity, 40% humidity or lower. Get a humidifier. Most houseplants are naturally tropical plants, so they come from the tropics and they thrive in a tropical environment. So this means a warm, humid climate. And a humidity boost will just make your plants thrive, especially if you're considering something like calathea, for example. Again, I will mention calathea as drama queens because calatheas are drama queens. But yeah, humidity, 100%. Get a humidifier. They're not expensive. You don't have to get a super big or expensive one at the start, and they don't have to be super expensive or large, especially if you don't have a lot of plants. plants. And you definitely don't need to get those $200 fancy ones either. There are so many small volume cute humidifiers out there that you can get for relatively cheap, and it's really worth getting one in my opinion. I have one right here behind me, this one, which is not a huge one. It is 2.6 liters, I believe, and that's fine with what I have, and I have quite a bit of plants. Of course, it's not self-regulating and stuff like that. Mine is bottom filling, but it works, and it was like 30 euros or something off Amazon. So just get a humidifier. And as a bonus, most of these humidifiers double up as oil diffusers, so it's something nice for you as well if you want to make your environment smell nice too. Oh, I mentioned that mine is bottom filling. If you have the choice between humidifiers, that you're looking between one that's top filling and bottom filling, get one that's top filling. Mine's bottom filling, and I haven't actually had any issues with it, for example leaking or anything like that, but it's just so much easier having a top filling humidifier. As a bonus with the humidity, you should get one of those tiny humidity / temperature meters. They look like this, so of course it's inverted, but on top I have the temperature and then I have the humidity, and this will help you monitor your environment as well, so seeing how warm it is where your plants are and how humid it is where your plants are, and that can also help you figure out what's wrong with your plant. For example, if you notice that your plant is taking a dive and you also notice that your humidity has been really low lately, that might be a reason. Some of these monitoring things are really useful. Okay, another great resource is the Facebook Marketplace. There are so many people selling plants on Facebook. This is obviously not exclusive to plants. There are so many great things that you can find secondhand and cheaply on Facebook, but I'm going to talk about a little bit about plants and selling plants on Facebook. I've gotten some common houseplants this way. I've gotten some really good deals on houseplants. For example, I got a really ginormous syngonium that someone was getting rid of just because they couldn't keep it up anymore. It was a little bit overgrown, for 20 euros. I got it for 20 euros, and with the amount of cuttings I took from it and then sold those on, I made the money back at least double, and I still have the giant syngonium. I've also gotten some really cool cuttings of rarer houseplants that private collectors have put up on sale on Facebook, and that's how I've gotten my hands on some rarer plants. For example, my variegated syngonium, both the Three Kings and the syngonium elbow that I have, I got as cuttings from private sellers around me. And I also live in a really small area, so if I can find really good deals, so can you. And it's very much worth having a look. I am also not saying that you will find Monstera elbows for $10 every day on Facebook in your tiny hometown. Not at all what I'm saying, but it is really worth to look out for a deal. And Facebook kind of ties into my next point, which is also my last one, which is finding a plant community. Finding a plant community is so important. I said that none of these are in particular order of importance, but out of all of these, I think finding a plant community is the most important. Tying it into the last thing about Facebook, there are plenty of Facebook groups that are either local or more broader ones, like for the EU or the US, or ones that are for specific plants, and they're lovely communities, but they're not as personal in my opinion and my experience. But my absolute favorite community on this whole planet is the Houseplants Discord server, for which there will obviously be a link in the description in my Linktree. And I may be quite biased because I'm a mod over there, but I think the over 1,400 people now that we have, it's growing so fast. We have so many people that can attest that this is an amazing place to be as a plant parent. And we recently gained a Discord partnership, so we are actually partnered with Discord, which is amazing, by the way. And it is an amazing resource for different things. Or for example, finding other people who share your hobby, or asking and providing plant advice, finding IDs for plants, sharing your collection, seeing the collection of others, and just having conversations with like-minded people who are just, you know, sharing their plant journeys. And the server is so dear to me because it is so helpful and it's so positive, and it's just an amazing place to be. And I wish I had found it when I was just starting my plant journey, because I know that I would have made less mistakes if I had more of these people around me, but I am glad that I found it when I did, and I'm still learning because of it, and it is just a really great place. So if you want to join the Houseplant Discord group, again, I will link it in the description, my link tree. Please join. I'd love to see you there and talk about plants with you guys. Now, there is probably a lot more advice that I could include here, but this video is already so long, I will have to cut out most of it. And of course I missed things, but that's what the community is for. Don't be afraid to ask questions or for advice, maybe in my comment section, or join our Discord group where you can get feedback from even more people. Some things may seem dumb to ask. Don't worry about that because, you know, we all started from plant 1 at some point. So yeah, comment some advice I might have missed. Join our Discord server. I hope to interact with you there. That's it, that's the video. Can't believe I don't have my tiny hands for this.